Hello. Welcome to somewhat of a freeform session where I just try brainstorming instead of only with myself, brainstorming to YouTube. I don't think anyone will be here because I don't have a whole lot of content, but nevertheless, it does feel more like somebody else is here when I'm doing this. And I'm curious to see how that feels. I have been thinking about topics that I could do videos on. And so I will probably get to that second or interspersed with what would be some good jobs if I were to look around at what's happening right now. What do I want to put my energy into when I'm thinking about what to do? And one of the big ways to put energy into something is to work at it as a part or full-time job. So I'm thinking about that. And one of the things that popped into my head was the Nature Conservancy, even though I don't really know exactly what they do. So I'm going to note that down. And I'm going to look it up with you. Before I do that, though, I think I'll continue on with just things to look up so that I can have a few different almost free association of what jobs sound nice to be involved with. I love nature. I don't think everything with nature in the name is about nature, but it does help me think about it. I love the post office. I've already done a video about mailing a letter. I really enjoy food, and I don't know that I'd want to train to be a baker or a cook, but it might be fun to look up what that would involve, just to know more. Never say never. I would enjoy being a marine biologist very much, and it was something that I've thought of before, but I don't plan to train for it. By going and getting a master's, I would be interested in on-the-job training if I were to go that way. What would I want to do as a marine biologist is the next question, because that encompasses a whole lot of things. And I think a lot of the paying work is fascinating. I don't know it all, but I get the impression some of it would really have to do with fish hatchery management, maybe, and ecology, and understanding how to keep a system healthy. So to apply marine biology to how we can have fish populations that we use for food and sport integrate healthily with the already existing world. There's a lot to understand with that every time. Every time you get so many different things involving each other, coming together, plants, animals, water, air, chemicals, and all of them having an influence on each other. It's really beautiful, but also very, very hard to study sometimes and get it right the first time. I think that one of the things I've been learning is that I really enjoy that people press ahead with learning, even when they know that they're most likely to get it wrong initially, because really sometimes sitting back and thinking is the very best first idea. And you realize even when you do that, you're going to miss something, and you go ahead anyway. You come up with the best idea you can at the time, or at least a reasonable idea that you can come up with at the time. And that's part of my struggle with brainstorming, is I want the idea to be more fully fledged than I think it usually is going to be when I'm just sitting around thinking of things and not just automatically throwing them out and saying that can't be something I would do. I'm practicing thinking about it and then really trying something. Doesn't have to be I try everything. It doesn't mean I have to try things that are almost assuredly not going to work, but trying more things instead of just, I either get it perfect or I don't do it at all. So I really, really enjoyed my work at Intel, which I can't talk about. So what included among the things I liked about it that I can say are that I felt like I was doing something that I really think is important. I do love that computers are in the world. As always, they can be used for good and bad, but I do think that another of the jobs I loved was teaching. And so just explaining things to people and having discussions with people where we go back and forth and find out new information is so much fun. I remember even enjoying somebody else teaching me how to drive a stick shift vehicle, which happened in stages for me because I've also driven a tractor. And then being able to show other people how to drive stick shift cars. So much fun. So let's see. I will go ahead with topics for videos and then get back to maybe the job possibilities, since I really only named off Nature Conservancy and baking and cooking in a serious way. I'm not sure about if I want to do a whole lot of videos about those outside of this. So topics for videos would then be separate into, I think I might do one about ferns. Doesn't have to be long. I would enjoy very much doing one about sea urchins. And a separate one, honestly, but talking about how they're connected, about sand dollars. I think that there will be mentions of this, but there could be another separate video about the composition of the ocean from the angle of a chemist, more or less. I could touch on the biology, but I would probably want to touch on it first from the angle of a chemist and mention the biology. Those are good topics for videos, actually. I would like to do more infrared spectroscopy, but specifically, I'd like to name off titles that are more concrete and narrowed down a bit. So, I think I would do a general one showing some of the setups you can do for transmission Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy. Just to give an idea of some of the options. There are so many that I doubt I would name them all. And applications, of which there are so many that I would only name a few. Applications of FTIR, Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy, to include chemical ID, which usually is not standalone, but is a very powerful technique, very commonly used in combination with other techniques in certain fields. Energy between atoms, the bonding energy, as it were, of molecules, can be done with FTIR. There's a lot more. I would like to talk about NMR at some point, but I think I'll leave that off the list right now. So if I go back to jobs, I have thought about a job where I was doing chemical ID and a lot of repeated laboratory procedures, and mostly said, I don't know about what the day-to-day looks like there. I could do an informational interview where I ask somebody who does that work. I wonder how much report writing that involves. So, characterization using some of my favorite techniques could be a job. I've thought also about how I do like to get my hands on tools. I love designing experiments. I really, really enjoy some of the legal language in the patent process that I've seen so far. I don't know, again, what a consultant day would look like for science consultants for patents. I am really interested. I love libraries. I'm really interested in the different roles that librarians are playing. It is such a nice thing to have free information to share. I mean, it's a fantastic concept, one that I'm really into. I like open source code. I really enjoy the projects that people generously give so much time to for everyone else's benefit. I could do a video on GNU plot. And I already have been thinking about talking to research librarians. I think. GNU plot. I've used it in the way distant past, so this would be a good excuse for me to refresh myself. Oh, and that brings up, I really enjoyed when I learned SPICE electrical diagrams, basically. It was a good way to see how electricity flowed. I could do a video on that. It's been a while, so it'd be good to relearn it. Let's see. I could do some of the fun topics in quantum mechanics. I would love to have good visuals for that. I know some of the resources for good visuals, but what would be, maybe I'll go scan some of the resources with good visuals and pick the topics from there. Actually, that brings up a fun point too. It would be fun to do Newtonian mechanics videos on some things. They are so classically enjoyable. Equations of motion type thing. And that can go all over the place. I mean, we could wind up starting simple and go into molecular dynamics simulations. I've been thinking about learning more coding. I never really did MATLAB. And I've heard it's really, really useful. I've heard Python is too. MATLAB and Python. Oh, I do like brainstorming on YouTube. Look at this. Kind of free association. And it's a little bit easier than feeling like it's just only happening in my own head, that it's actually going out to somebody or someone. Good to know. So let's see. For the rest of this video, I don't plan to say much more than I think this was fun and I will do it again. I don't know if I'll upload everything because somewhat of it is talking to myself personally. I thank anyone who comments that they would like to see more of it or not see more of it. Just give honest feedback about, and not everybody's going to like the same thing, but if there is an audience for it, I might reconsider how much I put. And one of the things that I've thought about is that how much advice should I solicit? Because I don't always take it. But doesn't mean I ignore it. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. I really enjoy giving feedback if somebody asks for it. And I don't expect them to jump over and immediately agree with everything I'm saying. But I think of it as a sharing of ideas. And again, in a way, a form of brainstorming. Not everything's going to turn from the initial idea into the full-blown video or the full-blown, I agree with what you said. And that doesn't mean it just fell on deaf ears. One of the things I've always enjoyed is the slow burn and seeing 2, 3, 4 years later, an idea that seemed was hard to implement, but worthwhile, slowly coming to fruition. I'll try to think of examples of slow burn ideas. That's a great video topic that I've actually seen happen. Slow burn ideas. Wonder if I can even think of one right now. I meant to cut this off about 2 minutes ago. This video is now getting longer as I get excited. I do enjoy that. All right. So slow burn ideas, I'll have to brainstorm them. Don't know if I'll put that on YouTube or not, but that is one that fills me with a lot of enjoyment. And I know I've seen it happen. So thank you again. And I hope you're having a good day.